What's up, everyone? So I'm here with Scot Cru. He is a legendary international television executive. He's worked for Turner Broadcasting, Sony Pictures, Mark Burnett Productions, and MGM. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
All right, so first of all, what does an international television executive do?
That's a great question, and I should figure that out one day. Keep my job. No, basically I take our television shows and formats and I sell them all over the world, distribute them all over the world. I do co-productions in the UK, I do co-production in Australia. It's deficit financing. It's really the business of making television is what I do.
Okay, so how did you get your start into this world? How did this path go?
It's an interesting story, actually. I was a travel agent part-time while I was in college. And after college, I went to work for CNN in Atlanta in the travel department, sitting in a little cubicle. And I started booking reservations for the president of CNN, John Petrovich. And we developed a great relationship. And then it came up that he needed an assistant. And I got that job and I went in as his assistant and he said, work for me for a year and I'll get you anywhere you want to go in this company. And I worked for him for 2.5 and he did exactly what he said he would do.
If you could think back a little bit and give your younger self some advice in today's world, what would you tell that kid who's trying to get their first job, trying to be like, I love international, being an international television executive sounds awesome.
Right.
How do they get their start? How do they get their foot in the door?
I think the best piece of advice I could give anyone is kind of advice that I gave myself and I took, which was get in at any level you can. And don't worry about getting into the mid-management job because you have this degree or that degree, or maybe you did a production in college, whatever. Get in at the ground level. And I think that being an assistant is a great way to start, because what it did was it exposed me to the entire company of Turner Broadcasting and CNN, Cartoon Network, CNN en Español, TNT. So I wasn't just focused on CNN, and it gave me contacts throughout the entire company. And in my position at Mark Burnett, 4 of my assistants that started with me and kind of went through the same process are all now like senior vice presidents and directors at other television companies in Hollywood. So that's a really good feeling that they kind of, went through the process and learned, and now they're out crushing it themselves. Some of them have better jobs than I do now. So.
Well, I want to keep this on the same third question now. Basically become an assistant is what you're saying.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's a great way to start.
How does that assistant, that someone's like, fine, I'll become an assistant.
Yeah.
What would your quick advice be for something like that?
Perseverance. I had an assistant that was a production assistant at the time on a show we were doing called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader with Jeff Foxworthy. Yep. And he was a PA and Mark Burnett and I had to have a meeting on set, and this kid crushed it. He knew that I was looking for someone, and he set that meeting up. It was like walking into a hotel room or a hotel banquet room, right? With everything. There was food, coffees, drinks. He serviced that meeting from beginning to end. He welcomed my guests from China that Mark and I were meeting with. He did everything. And I left there going like, I can't live without this guy. He made himself indisposable to me before he even had the job. So I would say that getting into the business and then focusing on areas of the business and finding those people that need help and going out. And this kid pursued me for 3 months. And I think we hired him as a temporary, and he joked that he was a temp employee for the first 1.5 years. And now he's a senior vice president with Televisa.
That's a great story and great advice. All right. So when you're hiring, personally, what do you look for?
I look for integrity. And what I don't want is somebody that, I want humility too, because somebody that is not braggadocious, because that informs me to how they're going to relate to my clients. Mm-hmm. And I like initiative. I love assistants that speak up and ask, hey, have you thought about it this way? A lot of times it's not the best way to think about it, but a lot of times it's a thought that I didn't have. And I am very open, and that'd be another great piece of advice actually, is look for executives when you're in the interview. Ask them, how does it work with them? Are they open with somebody that's willing to contribute to the process? And while you're that assistant, if all you do is sit at your desk, greet people, do expense reports, that's not going to get you where you want to go. When I was an assistant for the president of CNN, I went into every meeting he would have me in, and I had the humility that at the beginning of the meeting, I was the one serving the coffee and the drinks, And then because I had a boss that was interested in my growth, he also let me sit in on the meetings. And for the first 6 months, I didn't say a word in those meetings. I listened. You know the old saying, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? And so I listened and I learned. And I think that if you can put that message through in an interview, I think you're going to put yourself light years ahead of everyone else that's going for that job.
That's great advice. Okay, 5th question. We're about to run out of time here. What's your favorite part about being an international television executive?
Oh, there's a lot. I would say
You've had a good ride.
I would say it's been a great ride, and it's still going.
Yeah.
But I would say travel, because I travel extensively, and meeting some of the coolest people in all over the world. So I've got dear friends in everywhere from South Africa to Australia, of course the UK, Eastern Europe. And these are, people that I consider close friends that we're still, in touch now. I've been doing this for 20 years and we're, still in touch. I'm in a friend's wedding in the UK, so.
It's awesome. I mean, is how many people come to us saying that they want to, like television and travel, those
Yeah.
two worlds, it always is like there's synergy there
Right.
of asking, and here we are, you're on the business side of all of this, the
Right.
numbers, right? The
Yeah.
packaging, and still you come back to the answer of, I love to travel,
Right.
meet people.
Well,
So-
I mean, there's a TV show in Cannes in the south of France. It's just before the film festival. We call it the redheaded stepchild of the film festival. But it's a great TV marketplace twice a year. And it's like a big reunion. And everybody comes in from all over the world. And it's hard work. We do 20 meetings a day normally, and then a dinner. So it sounds like a lot of fun, and it is, but it's also a lot of work.
Yeah.
And, I love being on the business side, and I also get to dabble in the creative side occasionally. So that's, on our international productions. So that's really fun too. So I think, for me, I can't imagine being in a better place in this industry than on the business side. It's also, one last thing, it's also on the business side, you're a little more insulated from the ebb and flow of ratings, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're working on a show and you're a producer or a director or a writer or whatever, that's fantastic. But things beyond your control could cause you to lose your job. Not enough people are watching, right? Whatever. When you're on the business side, you're kind of insulated from that because you're working across many different shows. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great advice. Scot Cru, everyone. 15 minutes, 5 questions. I appreciate it.
That's
Thanks for stopping
fun,
by.
man. Thanks.